When we go to print our spreadsheet on paper, we have several page design options. In page design, it tells us, for example, what the margins are that it is going to use, what upper margin it will leave before beginning to print on paper, what lower margin, etc. Well, this is accessible here in page design. What happens is that in this point, it does not give us too much information because we can't see exactly. We do not have a visual image of how it will turn out. What we will usually do is that when we go to print or beforehand, we have the preview, and here perhaps we can get a more real image of how it will look printed out on paper. It tells us that it is going to have 6 pages, and each one of them has a set of default margins, upper, lower, left and right, which we call normal, which takes default values. I might want maybe to change these margins to a format width. If the margins are wider, logically fewer columns or fewer rows fit on each of the pages. And although I keep the number 6, we see that the column that we had before, that fit in the first page, when we were in normal format, it also changes column B. In this case, when we put wide margins, it no longer fits. In short, we always have the possibility of selecting the margins indicated by default by Excel, or narrower or wider margins. For example, with narrow margins, 2 data columns fit, column B and column C. But we could also some personalized margins, tell it exactly what measurement we want as upper margin, left margin, lower, and if they are not accommodated, those it applies by default. It is also very interesting to see that once a spreadsheet has been printed out on paper, we have possibilities in this page to tell it to center the page horizontally or vertically. For example, if we see behind preview, we see that there is more margin to the left than to the right, but we can tell it to center it horizontally, and it applies this, it equals out these margins. In the same way that we can do it vertically, we have a spreadsheet. In this case, our spreadsheet is of a size that it fills the page. It fills it because it goes below it. But it could be that we found more elegant a smaller spreadsheet which has fewer rows. So what we might want it precisely to configure or customize the margins so that it centers the spreadsheet in the area that is printed within the printed sheet of paper. So if we accept, we see what we have centerized both horizontally and vertically, and it might be the case that in this case, we now like the printout, and this is when we would send it to print.